I'm here. I'm feeling heart. You two are very connected.
Yeah.
I'm feeling heart. I'm feeling the back of my head. Feeling occipital bone back here. Did your dad leave from cancer?
Yeah.
Okay. He's working with you. He works with you all the time. He says it's time for you to step up and do your work and your light work. He says that's why the event stuff you're doing is starting to fall away. And he says, don't grip on it. Release it and accept it's going to go. That's what he's saying. Don't grip on it. He says you're attached to it because the fear of what are we going to do for security. He said the land is coming to you. The land is coming to you. He says, I'm with you. I'm helping you all the time. You talk to me in dreams. Do you automatic write in the morning? Do, because he talks to you while you sleep, and then you can get messages from him in the morning. He's been working with you all this time. He says you can't save your mom. Don't try. He says we're all doing our work from this side. He says we watch, we tune in, but he said we're actually here kind of as guides. He's not in your spirit guide team, but he's kind of a guide for you in many ways. He says, I work closely with her, but he says we all have our own life. Remember, when you're in the astral, you can create your own reality completely. It happens instantaneously. And he said, and we can interact with each other and we can mix our universes and our worlds, but we're still proceeding through our lens. He does a lot of light work on that side, interestingly enough. He's showing me that he creates things from his hands. I'm seeing like these color plasma bubbles. How interesting. And he says he paints. He enjoys painting. And he says you can actually make the paint come right out of the center of your hands, out of the heart chakra. He said your body, he says our bodies here, our light bodies are actually more powerful than there in the physical. And he said we can actually see more here than you can there. He says to be human is to be blind. It's like you're blind, you can't see really anything. He said to not have a body at first is a shock. And then after a while you adjust to it. And then you feel so free and you can fly, you can levitate, you can transmutate, you can do everything. He said, it's really awesome. He said, you can eat too if you want to. It doesn't have really any effect on you, but you can make taste. So he wants you to know that so that you understand that he's having a really amazing life. And he said the release of the body is exhilarating. That's one of the reasons why we keep wanting to come into the body, is he said reincarnating is actually like a thrill ride. It's very exhilarating. And when you're done with the life, you realize that it was like less than a nanosecond. When you're in it, you're in linear. And he says, and everything's so slow. And then you come out of it and then you're like, oh my gosh. And it's so exhilarating. You kind of go, wait a minute. He said, unless you've had a lot of trauma, if you've had a lot of trauma, then you have to spend some time with your angels and you have to go through healing on a soul level with your angels. So he says, I want you to know how this is so that you understand how I'm working with you. He says, I'm able to work with you because he says we can multi-locate. I'm able to work with you and do all the other work that I do. He says he just sends your mom blessings constantly, all the time. He says she's just doing what she came in to do. She's learning on a soul level. He says she's working through duality. She wanted to work through duality. So he says everybody who's agreed to work through all this darkness, he says they're playing out the darkness because they want to experience duality. Don't worry about any of them. Just send them a lot of blessings from all the guides. Send the guides to them. Send all their guides to them and ask all the ascended masters, all of the archangels, the angelics, all of them. He says, everybody's watching the planet right now. Everybody's watching from internal and external. Yes, inner earth. There is inner earth. You all know this. Everybody's watching from inner earth. Everybody's watching from the interdimensional portals. Everybody's watching on the outside. All the ships are coming in. Everybody is watching and helping, assist. He says, this is the biggest experiment universe has ever known. Your dad is a very powerful soul. It's a very powerful soul. So he's doing his part. He says, I'm doing my part to transmute the energy from this side. He says a lot of us here in the astral are doing that. He said some are just working through their ancestral karma. He said many of us are working with you all there on the ground. And he said, we want you to know that we are actually in awe of those of you that are ground crew that decided to stay and weather through all of this. He says this is the hardest job you all have. It's the hardest. He says it's hard to be there. I know. He just made a joke. I remember it as if it was yesterday, and then he's laughing. He says that's a linear joke. He's kind of goofy.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, so now that we brought him in and he's strong and clear, he's showing me, are you familiar with, do you have an association with buttercups and daisies, flowers by any chance? I'm especially seeing buttercups, yellow buttercups.
No, I like them, but I can't think of.
He's showing me buttercups and then flashes of daisies. Oh, he says that's for solar plexus. That's for your solar plexus chakra to give you all of that power and that energy. He said you need to get buttercups, both of you. Interesting.